Well, good evening, everybody. It says 7:15. It says 7:15. It's 7:26 where I'm tuning in from, and we apologize, man. I was saying right before the show, if it's not Friday the 13th, it sure feels like it, man. But welcome to the Denver Bronco Roundup. I am going to be your host. My name is Keith Brugman. We are brought to you by Rocky Mountain Sports Network. We are sponsored by the amazing Morgan Trinkets. We have the amazing Posse in the live chat. Jump in, get your ideas, thoughts, and questions, man. It's Open Saddlebag edition, man. And I got two of the best out there to bring you along for the hour, man. I'm going to welcome in Mr. Mile High Dutchie, having some technical difficulties himself in the background, but looking good right now. How you doing, Dutchie?
I'm doing well. I can hear you. I'm not muted, and so it looks like that my technical problems have solved for the most part, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed. So let's have a wonderful evening.
Let's keep the goblins off to the side, man, and keep the Broncos running right through the break and running right into training camp, and lots of ideas and lots of thoughts. And man, what a crazy offseason, Trevor. We're gonna kick it off, but we're gonna say hello to you. How are you doing, Mr. Rocket Man?
Doing great, Keith. Even through some tough days, we're still going to be here. So we'll find a way, even if it's 7:30, 8 o'clock. I mean, you'll still get us at some point in time on Tuesday and Friday. I mean, we try to make 7:15, but sometimes it don't always work out. So main thing is we made it, and we're all here safe and sound and ready to rock and roll. So can't wait to get into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's rock and roll, man. I love it, man. I was thinking about that, man. And maybe you can, as I scroll through the comments, I want both of you guys to think about this. I want you, since it's like an open saddlebag edition, the Posse can jump in as well as I'm saying hello to a few people. We'll get their comments up on the screen. What's your summer song? What's the song that sets off summer for you? I'll let you guys think about that. I got to say hello to Scott, who came in super, super early over on YouTube. Appreciate it so much, Scott, saying good evening, hosts and Posse. And good evening to you, man. Appreciate you jumping in here early, being part of the show, and love the new names that have been popping in here, as well as those old reliable ones, like Mr. Michael Ronquillo saying good evening, Keith, Albert, Trevor, Orange and Blue Hearts clapping it up. We got Mr. Patrick Wiltsey say, duh, Bruggs, duh, Wiltsey. I love it, buddy. Thanks for tuning in and being part of the show, and interesting to see what everyone has coming up for their thoughts about the Broncos, and maybe their thoughts around the summer song, man. Hello, Keith and Trevor and Dutchie. Go Broncos country only, says Ernie Mays. Aloha, gents, says Mr. Patrick Wiltsey. Good evening to all the cast and characters and the whole posse, says Mr. Roy Osborne. Michael Ronquillo saying aloha back to Mr. Wiltsey. Miss Pearl coming in and saying, thank you, Albert, for the message about this being on. Yeah. Well, probably because Albert's so good about being on time and ready to go live. And boy, it bugs him when we're not on time. And so I've got to always seem like I've been offering up apologies on each and every edition that Albert's coming in here. So, but Pearl's coming in saying hello all. Michelle's coming in and saying maybe Albert's coming in and saying you are welcome, Pearl. That's awesome as well. So, Albert's multitasker of all different types of things. Lawrence Rivera coming in and saying, what's up, guys? I missed MHH, but I had to stop by and say hi. I'm celebrating my little one's second birthday today, man. Well, Let's clap it up for Lawrence right there, guys, man, and his little one. I love it, man. Go out there, celebrate with the little ones. The time goes by quick. From a guy that has a long gray beard, take it from me, man. That's all I got to say, man. Go celebrate, have fun. There'll be plenty of Broncos talk every Tuesday, every Friday, 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, Denver Bronco Roundup. Join us again, Lawrence, but we'll have you as long as you'd like to be here as well. Wow. Yeah. Non-Broncos, rest in peace to Willie Mays. So that's a tough one, man. That's a name that I've known for quite some time, man. So yes, I will definitely give my thoughts there. I'm sure the whole posse does as well. All right, first one coming in. My song from Pearl. It's Too Darn Hot, and I think Albert might agree with that one as well. So Ernie May is giving a little happy birthday, and as well as Pearl. Well, let's get to those summer songs. Albert, what's the song that does it for you? What's the song that says summer for you?
It's called the song Down Under.
Very good.
That's one of my favorite summer songs.
Love it. Love it. Down Under. We'll have to take a listen. Do you know the artist offhand? And don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
I do. It is. I do.
Think about it. I'll go over to Trevor. I want to get his summer song. Get his thoughts. So what kicks off summer for you, buddy?
I am the wrong person to ask about this because I don't have just one in particular song that describes my summer, because on different points in times, your summers, you're at a different point in time during the summer. You're not gonna sing the same tune each and every day of the summer.
No.
So for me, I don't know. There's a lot of different songs.
A summer song for you. Ugh. You got a summer song, a song that you just like. Put that reminds you of summer. You know what I mean? In any way.
Ooh. I'll
all this time to think, man. I'll tell you what, I'm not going to do the music edition with these guys anymore. No, I'm just kidding. I guess go right ahead, Albert.
Men at Work, Down Under.
That's what I thought. I just didn't want to throw words out there, put wrong ideas in heads, and then everyone's like, "What are you talking about?" No, that's completely wrong. I hate that one. No, no. For me, and it'll date me a little bit, but Def Leppard's "Pour Some Sugar on Me" was like the song of the summer, and I just remember it like blaring through every radio, every jukebox, every ghetto blaster that was around in the 80s. You know what I mean? Seemed like that song was on constant rotation. It just reminds me of summer, man. It just makes me feel good about summer a little bit. You know what I mean? And gets me all excited, man. So, I don't know. I just wanted to throw that out there. Like I said, open mailbag or open saddlebag edition. That was my thought, man. So
that's a good one. Actually, I can not no lie. After you just said that, I listen to that song quite often, and that's like one of those songs that like I work out to. So if that any song would describe me in summer and just in general, just to get your hopes up and get your positive thoughts, that would be my song. So definitely, I do agree with you on that one. What you brought with that one up.
Right on. I like that very much. I got to get Lawrence's up here because Lawrence. I wanted to go back to Lawrence because I didn't realize it at the time. I got the guys on the screen helping me out in the background because I'm trying to produce and trying to do all these different things and trying to catch everything. But Lawrence did drop some beautiful, beautiful stars for us this evening. Kicked us off on the 100 stars. So wanted to go back and just say thank you very much, Lawrence. I appreciate you very much. Phil McLaughlin also coming in and saying, "What's up, Keith, Trevor, and Dutchie? Summer nights, Greece." I like that, man. Those summer nights, man. Good call, man. Man, who else we got coming in here? Because we did have Don. Don came in here and he was just saying hello to everybody about us, but he was. I want to give him some love. Or Dan, I'm sorry, Dan.
Yeah, there you go.
Sorry. A new prescription is coming for the glasses, kind of like Sean Payton maybe as well, man. Don't want to be calling the wrong plays. Don't want to be calling the wrong names. Dan, I apologize. But Dan's in here saying hello to everyone as well. Just wanted to give a shout out there as well. And then, oh boy, here it comes, man. The K&K Sports guys. David Lee Ross version of California. Girls and the Go-Go's vacation. Kenny, me and you could hang out, man. We could listen to tunes all day long, man. Pull out the old LPs, man. I appreciate it. Those are some good choices, man. I love some David Lee Roth. And Mr. Kurt Valente coming in saying, "What's up, boys? In bed with Sean, in love with Bo." I think that's what we're talking about. Let's go. So yeah, absolutely. All right. Just reading the comments and getting a little bit of a sidetracked over there. Dan says, as a San Francisco Giants fan, yeah, I'm down. Losing a legend hurts. Number 21 for forever. Sorry, stumbling over words. A San Francisco Giants. Yeah, Willie Mays is just one of those guys that even my father talked about quite well. He was a Mickey Mantle fan, a Willie Mays fan, Yogi Berra fan, as you can tell, probably a Yankees fan at the time. But those were the guys that were winning at the time, and it was good to be winning. And so that was a guy that I just always looked at before it was even, I guess, popular, I guess you could say, to look at a Willie Mays. So rest in peace, Willie Mays, and thank you for everything you did for your sport. But guys, let's get into our sport, man. I want to talk, like I said, open saddlebag edition, Seek and Destroy My Metallica by Roy Osborne. I gotta go in, gotta get back in here. Phil McLaughlin, Surfing Safari by the Beach Boys. You guys are awesome, man. We'll have to do a whole music edition one of these days, but let's get into a little bit of Broncos talk, man. We're gonna surf on over I want to surf on over to that quarterback room, man. I got a question for you, man. I'm gonna start off with Albert Mile High Dutchie, man. Albert, what would it take for the number 2 overall pick to get a legitimate opportunity in Denver? And I'm talking about Zach Wilson. We'll go through this entire room, but man, this is a guy that was highly valued. You know, I mean, he wasn't, let's face it, if he wasn't going number 2, he was going probably top 10 in that draft regardless. You know, this is a guy that was ranked right up there with a Bo Nix in his draft. So what would it take after everything that went wrong in New York with the Jets, pre-Hackett and with Hackett, you know, to actually give this guy an opportunity? What are your thoughts here, man? Is it just too much to ask with the guys that are in front of him?
No, it isn't. So the only thing that he has to do, he has to outbeat them. He has to outbeat Bo Nix, and he has to outplay Stidham. And I think he's finally coming into a system that will support him, that has, I believe, faith in him. Otherwise, you wouldn't get him here. And I think this is Sean Payton's system is always considered as to be a quarterback friendly system. So hopefully that will work. And Bo Nix and Zach Wilson are 2 players that have similar styles. The one is what better in this and what better in that, but their abilities, they are comparable. Might be that Bo Nix is a little bit faster with decision making, but I think with a system that we have right here for Zach Wilson, I think you're talking about Bo Nix and Zach Wilson as the number 1 and number 2. It just depends on who is going to be the number 1 and number 2, and that is based on their playing style.
I like that, buddy. You're giving him a bigger opportunity than I think a lot of Broncos country is actually giving one Zach Wilson. And that'll bring us back around when we get the conversation, maybe comes back around to a Jarrett Stidham as well, you know, as far as where you're ranking him. But I like that you're giving Zach Wilson that opportunity, that respect. You know what I mean? And the same respect that this coaching staff obviously gave him as well. They wouldn't bring him in here if they didn't find value in him, if they didn't think that he had a legitimate opportunity to help this roster in some way, in some regard. You know, it'll be interesting for a guy who's had way more starts than the guy that we were just talking about, Jarrett Stidham. What opportunity Zach Wilson actually gets with the Denver Broncos. Trevor, I'm going to pass the same question over to you, man. What is it going to take for a Zach Wilson to get a great opportunity in here? And then I'm going to ask Pearl's, or kind of throw Pearl's thought in here as well to you. And I want to get Albert's thought on the same Pearl's thought after you're done. And Pearl's thought, by the way, she says, bad coaching. I feel Zach needs 2 years to train and watch. So what are your thoughts, man? Where does Zach Wilson get his opportunity? Does he need those 2 years? And then I'll go back to Albert on those 2 years as well.
Well, I wouldn't say he needs 2 years. That's quite a long time for a team just to set him on the roster and him not play. I do agree with Pearl, though. I will meet in the middle and say I think he needs a year to develop, because I don't think Zach Wilson, he had Michael LaFleur and Nathaniel Hackett as his OCs. He's never been developed since he's gotten the NFL. He has all this talent in the world, and I understand that. Kyle Shanahan was interested in trading up for him at one point in time. It was more or less John Lynch that wanted Trey Lance in that class. So, Kyle Shanahan was a fan of him for a reason. So I think there's upside with Zach Wilson, but he's a dented car. He's not been buffed. He needs to be buffed by Sean Payton for a year. There's no reason to put him in there right now. I don't think. I think it's unfair for us to, in my opinion, put Zach Wilson as, he should compete to be the starting quarterback of this team. Why? He's never got a chance to develop. 3 years in the NFL. He's been one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. And, so this guy needs time. He needs to get his confidence back. There's so much that he needs, to be done, and kind of trim the fat off of him, because he just has not performed, and he's just been bad. And the Jets, quarterbacks go to the Jets, and most of the time they go to die in New York with the Jets. So it's just, and Zach Wilson's one of those guys. So he needs to be groomed, needs to be, be under Sean Payton, I think, for at least a year. 2025, if Zach Wilson's still on this roster and they believe in his upside, he can be quarterback 3 on this roster behind Stidham, if Stidham beats him out, and Bo Nix, of course, and he can be on this roster for a year. You can re-sign him in 2025 if you so choose, and then we could talk about Zach Wilson being a backup to a Bo Nix caliber quarterback, because Jarrett Stidham wouldn't be on this roster. So I think there's future plans for Zach Wilson. Does that mean that he needs to be the guy right now, needs to be in the plans right now? Not necessarily. I just think he needs to be groomed a little bit, and they traded little to nothing for him. So that's not like, you're getting him, Zach Wilson, his upside for nothing. There was the reason they moved for him. It wasn't to be the starting quarterback, in my opinion. I think their guy was always Bo Nix, and then I think they feel comfortable with Stidham being in the system for a year under Sean Payton. So Zach Wilson just needs a year to develop, and needs time, and needs confidence. He needs a lot more than, I think, what we see from the outside perspective.
Very good. I think I kind of get an idea of where Albert would feel on this, but getting back to Pearl's thought of needing 2 years, do you think he needs 2 years, or do you think he's competing this year, Albert?
I truly believe that he can compete this year. Even although he had 2 years of with the Jets, I don't think it's that big of a deal, because finally he has. I believe he was never really supportive with the Jets, and I think he will get the support here, and we can see already certain results come out of it. And I truly believe that Zach Wilson will have a shot at it. If not, put him on the practice squad for a couple of weeks or a couple of months, and then let him outplay and let Stidham be the number 2, and then see where it takes that. But I think it won't be that case. We have 2 really young quarterbacks, 24 and 25, and I think that those 2 will be the future of the Denver Broncos.
Dan's not necessarily in agreement, but hey, we all have our own opinion. He says, I was all on board with acquiring Zach Wilson. However, early reporting, I just think Zach just does not have it. The it factor. I think he's on line or on par with a Sam Darnold and seeing ghosts. Maybe seeing a little bit of ghosts. I also think here's a guy that, really needs to get ingrained into a scheme and into an offense and feel secure in it. I think every time he's been turned around, he's getting someone new and a new offensive scheme. And Nathaniel Hackett comes in, and Aaron Rodgers is supposed to be the starter. And no, all of a sudden you're the starter again. And it's been a tough go for him to try to get acquainted to the NFL. So for me, I don't know if it's necessarily seeing ghosts. It's not knowing where to go. And I think the biggest telltale is when I heard that he was off and running on 7-on-7 drills, which tells you he's not willing to throw that ball. That's not about seeing ghosts, because hey, those ghosts aren't coming in OTAs and in mini camps. There's no hitting. You can't hit a quarterback as it is, but you're definitely not getting hit in OTAs and mini camps. So let's get the ball out in 7-on-7s, not run the ball in 7-on-7s as a quarterback. So I just think he needs to feel more comfortable with the offense, with the scheme. Whether that takes a week, 2 weeks, 6 weeks, 2 months within this offense, who knows? Now, at some point, it seems like it clicks. And once it does, it does. And look at CJ Stroud. Happened really easy, really quickly for him. Well, look at Trevor Lawrence. Looks like it's more of a struggle, even though he's getting paid like it's no struggle at all. Aussie Wombat coming in and saying, hello, everyone. Hope you all are well. Kurt Valente saying, Wilson has upside. Stidham is what he is.
But who has the okay? So I'll say this: who has the higher floor, Stidham or Wilson? And so if Stidham beats out Wilson, what's it hurt? What's it hurt if Wilson sits here? I agree with Dan, and I said this multiple times. Zach Wilson reminds me of Sam Darnold. I think that's what he does. I think he needs a year to sit behind, and be the backup and be with under Sean Payton's, kind of wheel and be under Sean Payton and learn from him. That's exactly what Sam Darnold did a year ago under Kyle Shanahan. And look where he's at. He's getting a chance to be the starting quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings now. We're getting a lot of hate for Stidham, but I think that if Bo Nix is the guy, I'd rather have a guy with a higher floor and knows his offense. If he's truly outperforming Zach, why are you going to release Jarrett Stidham? Another team picks him up to be their backup, and then you're struggling with Zach Wilson when you need him. If Bo Nix goes down or something happens, and Zach Wilson, what if you're in a playoff situation and you have no Jarrett Stidham, and Jarrett Stidham's truly looking good, like we've been hearing from the media, and we don't know yet, and we'll find out. But you have Zach Wilson in there; he's not looking too good. But we're so in love with his upside. You throw Zach Wilson in there, and you're not looking very good at quarterback now all of a sudden because you got rid of Jarrett Stidham, a guy that looked better, and you went more the upside route and not the floor route.
Well, and I'm going to argue a different side of your point. I'll throw it back over to Albert, get your thoughts on this as well, Albert. But if you look at overall NFL starts, you kind of get an idea of what Zach Wilson is. Zach Wilson has 30 NFL starts. If you get an idea of what Jarrett Stidham is, you have to do it off of four NFL starts. So when we're talking about upside, we really haven't seen the potential of a Jarrett Stidham. We've only really talked about what he's looked like in practice and what he's looked like as a backup, and he's been here, there, and everywhere. But as far as overall full NFL starts, four NFL starts for Jarrett Stidham. Maybe he has more potential, more upside than we're actually giving him credit. Albert, what are your thoughts on all this? We can wrap it up with you.
So last year, Jarrett Stidham, during the OTAs and stuff, he was doing really well. And he even said, he cannot play Russell Wilson. That's what we heard too. And then he gets to start, and it didn't work. Because in the OTAs, it is not that big of a pressure because, like you said, they're not practicing with pads, they're not tackling, they're not hitting. They say that Zach Wilson sees ghosts. I believe that Jarrett Stidham might see ghosts as well then, because he doesn't bring it in the real games. So I think because we have two really young quarterbacks in Bo Nix and Zach Wilson, I think those two are the future. Even if it means that if Zach Wilson has to sit a couple games on the practice squad or even as a third stringer and Stidham as the backup, but I think the future is with Bo Nix and Zach Wilson.
Boy, I tell you what, man, it's a real mixed bag, man. As we even go through the posse, if we as we go through our thoughts and our ideas and our opinions, it's you know, it for me, I lean, man, I was a big Zach Wilson fan, but you know, I'm kind of like Dan here. He says, oh, maybe I pulled up the wrong one. But yeah, I pulled up the wrong one, but I'll get Dan's thoughts in a minute. I was reading. Oh, it was Aussie. I'm sorry. He says to be very honest, Sean Payton will need to work with Wilson and break him down and to rebuild him again after being at the Jets. So it may take a bit more of time to do that. I don't know about the time, but I do think it's more of a I mean, you're talking about two different guys on the opposite and the ends of the spectrum, or at least they should be, right? Because you have Jarrett Stidham in his second year, and you have Zach Wilson, that's kind of the project quarterback that you got for a late round draft pick. I mean, they should be on opposite ends of the spectrum, but at the same time, you have Zach Wilson that at least at one point had the most upside potential. I just want him to have the opportunity. I hope that he goes out there. I hope it starts clicking for him, and I hope that he gets a true nod, and a true, you know, opportunity to go out there and compete for the job and not just be handed to one guy or the other. And that for that matter, even Bo Nix, because I think there's even an opportunity that, Bo Nix isn't the day one starter and one of these other guys needs to be. Yeah, I mean, things aren't necessarily pointing in that direction, but there's always that possibility. And I think, that's with this room, there isn't, it's not the Aaron Rodgers and then who else? It's not the Tua and who else? It's not the Patrick Mahomes and who else? It's not the Joe Burrow and who else? It's a little bit more open competition. And maybe I'm wrong, Trevor. It seems like you may have some thoughts. I'll let you jump in first.
No, I was just going to react to Aussie's their comment on Zach Wilson being rebuilt. He's never been built. I mean, he's never been built. I mean, that you can't rebuild something that's never even been built. That's the thing is, I think we just tend to forget. Like, yeah, it'd be great if he could be the backup quarterback, and right now it's a little bit of a dream if he can come in and be the guy and be consistent. He does have the upside to him, but Zach Wilson's on a 1-year deal. I wouldn't be too worried about Zach Wilson right now. I'd be worried more about Bo Nix. He's your starter. He's the guy that you draft 12th overall. I mean, Zach Wilson, okay, yeah, he should absolutely get the opportunity to compete with Jarrett Stidham, but if it don't work out, okay. I mean, you gave up nothing for him. The Jets are paying 3/4 of his salary, and you give up, a 7th-round pick for him? I mean, there's little risk there when you traded for Zach Wilson. So I agree giving him a chance to be the backup, but he ain't starting for me. And not unless he, just blows everybody out the water. And up to this point, just doesn't seem like he's going to. And he has been. So, I mean, it's absolutely possible. But I think that he needs some development, and he just never has been developed over the last 3 years. He's been one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL over the last 3 years. I mean, he has a QBR well under average. So he's below average quarterback, I should say. That's what I meant to say. So, I mean, there's upside, yes, but I mean, I just don't think that there's a real argument for him to be the starter right now. Maybe a backup, maybe, but Jarrett Stidham right now probably has a leg up because he's been under Sean Payton for a year.
Very good, man. Any final thoughts on this, Albert?
Bo Nix, Wilson, Stidham. That's the order.
All the rest of you guys can just shut up, guys and gals. That's the way it is. No, it's so tough. But honestly, I think if we all had our wares, if we all had our qualms, we would want Bo Nix to earn the QB1 spot week 1. That's what we all want. It makes it makes the most amount of sense for the success of this team, right? It would be great to be in the line of all those names I just talked about, the Tuas and the Mahomes and the Joe Burrows and the like, of being, well, it's obviously Bo Nix and then whoever else is behind him. That's the position we need to be in. That's the position we want to be in, and so I'm excited to hopefully to get to that position. That's the way we really want to get Dan, thank you so much coming in here saying great podcast. We appreciate you and everybody that's been blowing up the chat to this evening. Man, it's been fantastic, man. Fantastic, like Morgan Trinkets. Man, I'm telling you what, if you're looking for Southwest jewelry, Southwest pottery, or estate gold at wholesale prices, not retail, wholesale prices, then you need to head on over to Morgan Trinkets. Morgan Trinkets over on Facebook. I promise this time I will drop the link after we get out of this little spiel right here, guys. But Morgan Trinkets is a 33-year-old company that was once nationwide. Now they've shrunken down, and they're just really focusing on northern Colorado and southern Wyoming, as well as all of you guys out on Facebook, or all of you that are going to go visit their Facebook page. Like I said, Southwest jewelry, Southwest pottery, estate gold at wholesale prices, and silver, all sterling silver, 100%, starting at $10, going all the way up to $2,000. If you go over to their Facebook page, you can message them if you don't see what you like. They have a huge inventory of beautiful products. Anything that you purchase is free shipping as long as you make a purchase over $50. And they transact through PayPal over there. But if you go over to their Facebook page and you see all the amazing shows that they do, especially during the summertime in northern Colorado and southern Wyoming, you can check them out, go to them, look at all of it, touch it, feel it, try it on, and then transact with any major credit card as well. Check out Morgan Trinks today. Again, all your Southwest jewelry, pottery, and estate gold at wholesale prices today. Guys, I wanted to get to a different, maybe switch gears a little bit, and I'm going to go from one end of the field to the other end of the field. There's been a lot of talk about the faith that Sean Payton put in one PJ Locke last year and getting him on the field, and him being the safety that really kind of took over after Kareem Jackson kind of exited. And now kind of getting that feel that, well, PJ Locke is now becoming a little bit more of a leader on that defense as well. I just want to talk about the safety room in general. It seems like PJ Locke is kind of, nudging his way up to the top as far as playing in that backfield, and who else is going to be playing alongside him as training camp is getting heated up, and we've even heard names like JL Skinner and the like, man. So let's just talk about this safety room. We'll switch, like I said, to the other side of the ball, talk about this for the second half of the show a little bit, and want to get your thoughts on it. And and maybe I just got to get to this really quick. If you guys don't know, we have 4 horsemen. It's really tough to get all 4 of us on the screen. Our 4th horseman at the Denver Bronco Roundup is Jody. And maybe I'll actually just segue just really quick, because I haven't even had any comments come in on this as well. But I want to get your thoughts on this. I know this is near and dear to your heart, Albert. I'm going to start off with you. Who's going to start at center?
I truly believe it's going to be Forsythe. He already played with Bo Nix before, and they already have a certain type of chemistry. They already know how to hand off the balls to each other. They know how to work with each other. I think it will be Forsythe, and that comes in again. Sean Payton's plan. It takes at least 3 years to build a playoff team, and I think that is really what is happening now. Last year we had Forsythe, this year Bo Nix, and then Trey Franklin as a wide receiver. I think it's going to happen.
Forsythe it is. As far as Albert is concerned, I don't know if I said Jody's name, but Jody is the 4th horseman, by the way, that you'll sometimes see on the screen. But I'm going to go over to Trevor as we come off of Albert and his thoughts on Forsythe being the center. What are your thoughts, Trevor? Or give an answer for Mr. Jody Moncrief here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we have a 100% answer yet, but what I heard, it's actually is Luke Wattenberg. He's the guy that's been taking snaps at center, most of the snaps at center. So that's a little interesting for me, because I thought it'd be Forsythe as well. But I still think it's an open competition, and what we were going to find out in training camp, and I think in the preseason as of right now. But that's from everybody that we heard that was at mandatory minicamp that was able to watch. It was Luke Wattenberg taking actually the one that's taken most of the snaps. So very interesting development there for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's a large rise for a guy like Forsythe, seventh round pick, if I remember correctly, that we
Yeah.
end up getting Forsythe. So you don't know where he had him graded, probably no higher than a fourth, maybe a fifth, if you're lucky. So a late round pick and a center, you know what I mean? It's an open competition, and I don't. You're absolutely right. I think to try to go through mini camps, try to go through OTAs, and say, hey, I think I know who the answer is going to be at center, is kind of ridiculous because when you talk about trench type of positions, it's not until we get the pads on, right, boys? So training camp is when we'll really start to get the answers. I like the idea though that with Albert, man, I like the idea that those guys have already had a connection, can reform that connection, kind of fall in line. You know, there's so much communication that needs to happen between those two guys, the quarterback and the center. If there is some type of way that they can rely on a communication that they once had and those lines of communication, it would be fantastic. So I'm with you. I'd love to see Forsythe in that position. No disrespect to Wattenberg. I think best man should win the position. But that being said, sure would be nice if we could have Forsythe. Scott saying I have seen Wattenberg rumors as well. Yeah, it seems like that if there's going to be leaning any way, Wattenberg might be that position. But and Aussie's Wombats coming in. We appreciate you, Nigel, coming in and saying, don't forget everyone, like, share, and subscribe, whatever platform you watch on. Yeah, YouTube, Facebook. We appreciate you guys very much. That's where we're broadcasting live. That's where you can catch every single show every Tuesday, every Friday, 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And Aussie, thanks for the reminder, because I don't think I promote ourselves enough sometimes. I think Trevor feels the same way, as he usually jumps in and makes sure he reminds everybody when we're coming on. But I want to get back to that safety talk, guys, and get your thoughts on that. Again, we've brought guys in. We've had guys on this roster for a while. We've drafted guys. There's a lot of opportunity, I guess you could say. It's kind of wide open. Our Kareem Jackson held position back there for many years. He obviously left as of last year. At the end of this year, we decided to part ways with one Justin Simmons. It's pretty much wide open back there. I'll start off with you, Trevor, this time. What are your thoughts on the safety position and how this is going to shake out, and where the strengths are, and who needs to rise up, and who might not be here?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. And this is a big concern for me. On this defense is as a safety position. It's the backfield, and again, I know that they went out and signed Brandon Jones as well from Miami, but I have major concerns about Brandon Jones because he's a guy. He's more of a rotational safety. He's never started a full season in the NFL. That's very concerning for me. One thing you're going to miss about Justin Simmons is that Justin Simmons was very durable, hardly ever missed a game. So as elite as Justin Simmons was, and I know this past season he struggled a little bit more, but he was very durable. Caden Stern, Brandon Jones, they haven't been very durable. I mean, so it's really hard for me to see where these guys go. And again, it might not be either one. It might actually end up being Riley Moss if he doesn't work out a cornerback. He actually might be one of the guys that moves over to safety. So we have to keep that in mind as well. I think PJ Locke, pretty sure who I think it was Andrew Mason the other day, said that he was he's been on this team the longest since 2020, I believe.
Who is that?
PJ Locke.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's something to credit to Andrew Mason of Denver Sports for that one. He's that veteran of that room. But it's going to be interesting to see how Denver's going to use Jones and Caden Stearns. I think Caden Stearns has the upside, and you think he's always had the upside, but he can't stay on the field. And Brandon Jones, I think he's a better run stopper, but as far as in coverage, I think he's a major downgrade from where Justin Simmons was at. So that's where I have issue with Brandon Jones signing. The money suggests in 2025 that he should be a starter because you're paying him $8 million. This year, you paid him $3 million, so it's not as much. But I think they would have liked Brandon Jones to be the guy out of him or Caden Stearns, one of those guys to emerge. But I have my doubts about that as of right now. And I think all doors should be open for the safety position. And I think it's one of those open competitions and wait and see through training camp and through the preseason of what actually ends up happening.
30 seconds or less before I throw it over to Albert. JL Skinner made a little bit of noise as well. I didn't hear that name. What are your thoughts on JL Skinner?
Yeah, I think there's a chance that he could his name could be thrown in the mix as well. But I think he's more of a special teamer right now. I think Sean Payton and the Broncos are still high on him, but as of right now, as far as the names I've heard, it's Brandon Jones and Caden Stearns.
Very good, man. A lot of people, Dan's coming in saying, I'm actually excited to see Brandon Jones at safety, a real hard hitter. Yeah, he comes downhill. That's for dang sure. And Jody's saying, super high on Jones and Locke with Stearns lurking. Albert, what are your thoughts on this safety room? You know, how it's going to come together and develop. There's a lot of names back there. Somebody's going to have to go, and someone's going to have to get the starting nods. Where are you leaning either way?
Yeah, Stearns and Locke had to step up anyway because K-Jack is gone, Simmons is gone. So somebody has to step up in the room and take initiative. And I still don't take the opportunity away that at the 53-man roster that Simmons might be back for the cheap. Because it doesn't look like that Simmons still hasn't a job yet. So if he wants to play, he might come back for inexpensive. And guess what? That possibility I'll also keep open still. But yeah, and talking about hard hitter, Brandon Jones, it might be a hard hitter, but if he's a hitter like K-Jack, it doesn't do us any good. So it has to be fair and square hitting.
Yeah.
And Skinner is a hard hitter as well. We have seen it in a couple times that he played. So we have a hard hitter there, and so maybe if they go both in on the field, Skinner and Jones, I think there will be a lot of offenses afraid of what is going to happen because they know they're going to get hit. So I'm looking forward to the new safety group.
I am too, man. Jody's pointing out just a couple things about Simmons. He says Simmons has missed 7 games over the last couple years here. Also that Jones has a better PFF grade, if that means anything to anybody, in 2023. Again, PF, it's like, I'm not going to downgrade PFF. I think they do actually fantastic work over there. A lot of people are like, oh, it's just some made up grade that PFF comes up with. I think they put a lot of work in, and it just all needs to be put into context. It's kind of like anything. You can't look at one specific stat. If I had Scoop on here, he would be talk all about this. You can't look at one specific stat and just be like, hey, that's the one stat that will tell the story, right? You got to look at many different facets. And, there is a lot of reasons to be excited about Brandon Jones. I think it's a little bit more in the run game than it is in the passing game, unfortunately. And I think that's just the way he plays. And that's the type of safety that he is. He likes to play down in the box. He likes to be able to come up and level a hit, especially on those running backs or maybe somebody short over the middle, if that comes into play as well. Trevor, I see you're biting at the mic there. Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, because I've had this conversation with Jody to the side. And again, Brandon Jones' PFF grade is so high because he only played 6 games last year. Only 6 games. He's only played the most of his career. 4 years in the league, he's played 13 games. So that's very concerning for me. And I think Justin Simmons, yes, did he play at a Pro Bowl level last year? No. Do I go against what the Broncos' wishes were to release him and save all that money? No. But Brandon Jones, I don't think he's the right fit, in my opinion. Again, against a run, yeah, different scenario. Yes, and he can be a guy that can get after the quarterback because you can use blitz. You can blitz him more than you could Justin Simmons, but Justin Simmons is better in the passing game. So, I mean, I'm just not a big fan of the Brandon Jones signing. I'm just not. I think that, again, if short sample size last year, he was a rotational guy. Look at the contract. 2 years. It's a 2-year deal. And again, at most, he's making $8 million a year, and that's next season. So if you don't believe me, just look at the contract.
You were just on a New York Giants show, New York football show as of last night over on the K&K Sports Network. Great guys over there. Great guys over there at the K&K Sports Network. You guys got to check them out if you haven't already. Who was their big signing? over on for the Giants?
Big signing.
Yeah, they're the big signing that they had, edge rusher, if I remember correctly.
Brian Burns.
Brian Burns. Guess what? Brian Burns was ding, 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 a rotational guy
Wow.
last year. Okay, so I think there's just I don't rule out the thought that, hey, this is all this guy is. I guarantee that the New York Giants are going to put him in as a full-time guy, and hopefully he can play to that same level. The same thing that you would hope for someone like Brandon Jones, right? He looked good in 6 games. Can he do it over 18?
But
That's the question.
But Brian Burns is also a Pro Bowler, and he's played 16-game season before too.
Yeah, I get that. But still, asking a guy to do 3 times twice the work, let's say, is something to be said. When all of a sudden you have to be out there and you're grinding every single time, can you still live up to that same level when you're not just trotting out there on 3rd down and long and getting to tee off? It's a completely different scenario. This guy will get worn down over games. He may not be a Pro Bowler, and hey, some guys that have been only rotational guys and they get the opportunity, they step up and they are able to carry that load, and they've just needed to get the opportunity. It'll be interesting to see if someone like Brandon Jones can be like that. The one guy that I'm most excited about is JL Skinner. This is a guy that I thought was very, very good at Boise State. He comes in, he's injured, he has a long time back. He's coming up on special teams, trying to get some work in for the Denver Broncos. He comes back this year, and he has got a little bit of talk in this training camp. And we're looking for guys to get a little bit of talk in this training camp and step up and work out from prior drafts like 2022 and 2023. It's time for these guys to shine. So for JL Skinner to go out there and be that guy would be fantastic. I'm almost past a guy like Caden Stearns. I think PJ Locke is going to be that guy. But the one thing that I find most interesting with so far Sean Payton and the rest of this coaching staff so far during this, off season is how they're actually rotating guys in and out. It's not first team is first team, second team is second team, third team is third team. No, different safeties are getting played in the first team. Different corners are getting play in the first team. Different wide receivers are getting play with the first team. Different quarterbacks are getting play with the first team. And it's interesting to see how many of these guys are going to try to keep on the roster, how rotational they may be in the actual season, because you can get very scheme specific if you're not just saying we have 2 guys back there, Kareem Jackson, Justin Simmons. That's the way it is. If you can rotate in a third, if you can hold that third, it'll be kind of interesting to actually be able to do and get a little different feel, because let's face it, when we talk about a JL Skinner or a Jones coming in on the right play, they bring a different feel than maybe a Caden Stearns. So that's my thoughts on the safety, I guess, position. So I'll jump back over. I love that Jody pointed out that he said I posted that just for you, Trevor.
And guess what? I got a stat just for Jody. I'll fire back on that one. So PFF, in 2021, Brandon Jones plays most of his games, 13 games. I said, you know what PFF have him graded as, and take this what you want, 53. 53. That's what they graded him overall wise. So they graded him high this past year because it's a short sample size. He didn't play as much. That's just, again, we'll see. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that he does shine. I'm just saying,
I hope you're wrong too.
But if he shines, again, that's great. That's a great signing for Denver. But he's been a rotational guy, and this is kind of where the Broncos are at with having to get rid of Russell Wilson, eat all that money. Well, this is what this team's going to have to do. They can't go out and afford as of right now and go sign all these big superstars right now. You're going to have some competition and sign some rotational guys and hope that you hit. Look at Roach. Look some of the guys that they've signed this year. Those been rotational guys that you're hoping can emerge and be starters and contribute because of having to eat Russell Wilson's big contract this year.
Oh, I can't wait till we're done with the Russell Wilson talk. It'll come. It's coming. It's maybe one or 2 more years, and we can put it to bed a little bit. Scott's coming in. Albert, he has a question for you. He says, Albert, isn't Simmons' expected salary just too high for Denver to bring him back? What are your thoughts? How do you get? Because I agree with you, man. It seems weird. He's obviously been Well, he's been nothing but an outstanding guy his entire time. So he's not talking bad. He's hanging out in Denver. He's going to all the Denver things. He's still doing things in the Denver community. And it's not like a guy that seems like he's out there, on the beat trying to drum up some interest in being a safety for another team. How does it work that Justin Simmons becomes a Bronco? Is it going to be too high of a dollar demand for Justin Simmons to be a Bronco?
I don't think so. The longer he is on the free market, the cheaper he will get. Because if nobody picks him up and he really wants to play, he is willing to renegotiate his contract. So I think it is the longer he stays a free agent, the better it will be for the Broncos. And if the Broncos want him back and he wants to come back, they will do contract negotiations, and so it will be better for the Broncos. So no, I don't see it. And if he doesn't want to switch, well, guess what? They will play without Simmons. That's
Yeah.
how I see it.
Yeah, honestly, the safety market just kind of fell apart, this offseason. If they're, markets go up and they go down. We saw the running back market just fall apart last year, to where none of those guys were getting signed. They sat out on the market forever. Safeties are the same situation this year. And I think you're right. There's a very good opportunity for these guys to have, more of a prove it contract, or, hey, there's nothing that says you can't sign Simmons to a 2-year contract that's not, a little more backloaded, a 3-year contract that's a little bit more backloaded if you really wanted to do it. Give yourself some outs, but put all the money on, not on this year, but on next year, So there is opportunities to kind of move around. I'm going to go right back to Albert, though, really quick, because Albert hasn't had enough. But I know that Albert sent me a little post, if I remember correctly. And I don't know how much you looked into this, Albert, but Dan's bringing it up. He says, what about that new Denver Bronco that's going to sign what about the new, I think that Dan, I think your language is all mixed up there, but we end up signing a new defensive lineman from the XFL. He's going to be a Denver Bronco now. And Dan's wondering, what's the story? Any thoughts on that, Albert? I didn't get any chance to look into it, so I don't want to speak on something I don't know.
Yeah, so this kid, he is 26 years old. He is 270 pounds, 6'3". He played in one season in the spring league in 2021, and after he graduated from Indiana University, he was drafted by the Stallions in the third round of the 2022 USFL draft. He spent 3 years in Birmingham, winning 3 straight championships. Following the merger of the USFL and XFL, Tillman totaled 26 tackles, 3 sacks in the newly formed UFL this spring. He recorded 92 tackles and 85 sacks over the last 3 seasons. So I think we have a young man here who has put in a lot of work to be where he is, and I think it will be interesting to see him on the line. Nobody knows him, and that is a big benefit. Nobody knows him, so they don't know how to deal with him. And I think a lot of people will start recording videos now and watching videos of how he has played, and I think it could be a big surprise. And we needed some help over there as well, so hopefully this is a really good surprise. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward into looking a little bit more into the guy, maybe watching a little bit more tape, seeing what he's made of. And more than anything, just raising the question of what, hey, we recently brought in a linebacker and everyone said, oh, what does this mean? Does it mean that, the guys in the room aren't performing to where we want, does it mean that we are scared and we need to bring in somebody to try to fill that position? I just don't know. I want to read the tea leaves for a little bit. Like I said, it was breaking news to me because crazy day. But Albert, I appreciate you bringing that to me. And I appreciate Dan bringing that as well. I'm going to bring it back over to Trevor. Phil had a question a little bit earlier, and it's maybe a great way to round out our show just a little bit. He says, guys, who in the running back room will not make the team? Trevor?
Yeah, I mean that's a great question, right? I mean it's something again. I don't expect anything to happen and make any move until after the preseason and after training camp, of course. But all signs point as of right now, Javonte Williams is not in a great situation right now. He's just kind of looks slow out there. It sounds like, and he's just I don't know. I just don't giddy up in his step. I guess you could say that. I mean, we talked about P. Ryan maybe being a guy. Per reports, he's a guy that's actually bulked up quite a bit. So maybe you're talking about Jaleel McLaughlin, who I said that I think that he has the most upside of all the running backs in that room. He certainly seems like a guy that is poised to be great and poised to be that next Alvin Kamara, possibly. He said he did a lot of research when he was younger under Kamara, about Kamara when he played. So, so I think that a guy like McLaughlin is a front runner right now and has a lot of upside. And I think Sean Payton wants to get him involved. I don't know about Estime, that injury. As of right now, we just don't know with Estime and how that injury is going to go. I think P. Ryan, if he's continuing to bulk up, I think, and he's continuing to look good, you're going to need probably P. Ryan out there if Estime is not ready to go. And if Estime can't beat out P. Ryan. So I think Javonte is the guy that I would watch for. Again, Denver doesn't save anything by cutting him because, he's still on his rookie contract, and I don't think that they're going to get a lot for him trading him. So there's a chance they keep Javonte on this roster, but I would think if they have McLaughlin being the guy, being emerging and being that number one running back, if he can be that and be better in pass pro, I don't know how you can keep Javonte around. But one thing about Sean Payton is he loves to keep running backs, and he likes to have a deep running back room. So there's absolutely a chance Javonte can make this roster too. But as of right now, maybe that's a guy that's looking out, outside of being a Denver Bronco as of right now. But again, time will tell.
Javonte is the pick, at least for now. Training camp still right around the corner, but great question, Phil, and thank you, Phil, for the stars too. It's tough to keep up on a couple of pages on Facebook and the whole 9 yards, but I did have my friends pointed out in the private chat that you sent this question out, and I want to get Albert's thoughts on this question. So, Albert, running back room is awfully full, man. We had big hopes for Javonte not that long ago. Now it seems like the big hopes might be in a Blake Watson or an Estime. So, that all being said, we still got McLaughlin and P. Ryan that sit right there in the middle, I guess, as well. Where does it all shake out? Who's the guy that doesn't make the team?
I think McLaughlin definitely will make the team because he is that speedster from the backfield. He can catch it in the backfield, and that's where he belongs. And maybe line him up once in a while and as a wide receiver because he can do that as well. And you still need that punt returner and kick returner, and McLaughlin can do that all. Then, from what I hear and what I've heard and see, a new guy, I think he's going to take over as the bruiser. That's what it all.
Audric Estime, yeah.
Yeah, he's going to take over as the bruiser, and that might, be the. Yeah, I don't want to say nail on the coffin for Pookie, but I sure hope not. I really would like to see Pookie get another shot at it. Can we keep 4?
Yeah.
Why not keep 4? And I would say P. Ryan, Williams, Estime, whatever his name is, and McLaughlin. I think those 4 will be the running backs.
I also want to add on to that with Albert. It also comes down to what they can do on special teams, like Albert mentioned with McLaughlin. But if McLaughlin's your starting running back, he's probably not going to play special teams. So maybe a guy like Blake Watson might be that guy that would play special teams. Javonte Williams, is he really going to play special teams? I'm not sure about that. That's where it might come down to is special teams. If McLaughlin's that guy and you have P. Ryan or Estime is behind him, he's that power back. McLaughlin's your speed back. Then that might come down to who plays great on special teams. I mean, and it might be Blake Watson, honestly. So it could be as little as that. And if you keep all those running backs, who are you cutting from the wide receiver room? You have to balance that out of who you keep on the running back room, the wide receiver room, the cornerback room to play special teams. And now with the new special teams rules in place, you might be playing, might be keeping more in other positions because it completely changes things a little bit as well on special teams. So.
If I was keeping 4, this is how I would do it. I would want 2 bruisers. I got one in Audric Estime if he's healthy. I got one in Javonte Williams. Those guys will run down through contact, through guys, eat up the yards, wear you down. And I want 2 receiving backs. Jaleel McLaughlin's that guy. And Blake Watson's that guy. If I'm keeping 4, those are my 4 right there. And I think P. Ryan can move on. He's the jack of all trades. But I think if you have a solid guy that can pound it down your throat and you got a solid guy that can be a receiver out of the backfield and you have backups for both of those guys, I don't think you need a jack of all trades at that point. And I think P. Ryan's the odd man out. That's the direction I'd like to go. I think it's the youngest direction as well. So you have the most to build on over time. You also, again, I think the more we try to rely on P. Ryan has never, ever, ever been that number 1 back. You can go all the way back to college. He hasn't been there in college. He hasn't been there when he was in Cincinnati. He's never been there with the Denver Broncos. So he's never been more than a rotational piece. And I know that's what we're kind of asking for, but don't expect him to be, I guess, any more than that at this point either. And I think there's opportunity still for even a Audric Estime or a Blake Watson to still have that upside and shine into an every down back if we ever decided we wanted to go that way. So great question, Phil. I appreciate you and every single person in the posse, man. And we got to get on out of here as we're right at an hour. And with that, I want to go ahead and I want to, have everyone say goodnight. Not just the posse. By all means, drop a good night and a good evening as we get out of here. But make sure that you stick around as Albert says goodnight. Trevor says goodnight. I'll say goodnight as well. So, Albert, why don't you get us kicked off, buddy?
Yeah, it was another fantastic episode of the Denver Bronco Roundup. I have to say, we had some really nice discussions and a little bit of competition between Jody and Trevor. That's always fun to see. And
More to come.
who comes up with the best stats? I think that we'll see more and more of that, especially when the season comes on. Yeah, and the chat was on fire again. We really, really enjoy it. To see you all in the chat. We had some new faces, and I will address them. Thank you, Scott, Michael, Patrick, Ernie, Roy, Pearl, Lawrence Rivera, Phil, and then here's one of the first new ones, Dan Wilcott. And then Kenny and Kurt, of course, of the K&K show. Those are they're a family to us, and even although they have a different show, but they are not competitors, we are just all one big family and do it all together. Then we have Aussie, Jody, and here's another new name, Paul Shatter on YouTube. And of course, my lovely wife was there as well. Thank you for all being there.
I'm sorry I missed Michelle. I always like to say hello to Michelle.
She was watching.
Oh, she was watching. Well, hello, Michelle, in the background. All right. Thank you to everyone in the posse. Thank you, Albert, man. Great discussion today, man. Great thoughts, great points, whether it be, those quarterbacks, those safeties, center. Man, we had some great discussions this evening. Can't wait to get it kicked off again on Friday. And Trevor, you got to say goodnight as well, man. Why don't you say goodnight?
Yeah, big shout out to again our posse, our Roundup Royalty. You guys are awesome. Roundup Royalty, Denver Bronco Roundup. This is the place. I think again, all our new fans and everybody that comes in and joins us. Remember we're going to have an extra podcast during the season. We go live 3 times a week. We do our regular show on Tuesday, and on Friday we do our pregame, and then our postgame on Sunday right after the game. So just a little bit more info on some of our people that are just joining our podcast and have not been here during the season with us. We're excited to have you guys, and I can't wait to have even more discussions with you guys. For all you guys, and just can't wait to get started in the season. It's gonna be right around the corner. I swear, I promise. We're a little bit away from training camp, but it's gonna be right there. It's gonna come fast. So can't wait to have more discussion with you guys. Just again, a great podcast tonight, and just thank you all for all the amazing support that you guys bring. It truly means a lot. Just you guys showing up and Thank you, Phil, for sending stars as always. You're fantastic, and you guys are just amazing. And we couldn't do this without you, and we do this for you. So always remember that. And so just and stay tuned for me and Jody continuing to share stats back and forth. That's definitely going to continue to happen. But good night, guys, and thank you for everything. And we'll see you guys on Friday. Have a great, safe week. And just thank you again.
Yeah, absolutely. Got to say hello. Miranda's been a huge supporter over at Broncos World Order, saying we're gonna be great this year, and yeah, came in twice. I just want to make sure we're gonna be great this year. Bronco World World Order. Go ahead and give them a little bit of a support as well over on Facebook. They got a great little page going as well. But that being said, man, what a great discussion. What great love we've had. We appreciate you guys so very, very much. We've been growing leaps and bounds left and right. You know, we talked about Justin Simmons not getting a job. I've been thinking about maybe reaching out to him, seeing if he wants to join the Denver Bronco Roundup if he's not doing anything this season. I'm just kidding. No, I appreciate every single one of you guys jumping in, being a part of the show. Remember, you can catch the Denver Bronco Roundup every Tuesday, every Friday, 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time right now. Don't forget, we'll add in shows once the season starts, but the Denver Bronco Roundup every Tuesday, every Friday, 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. You can check us out here on Facebook, over on YouTube. We broadcast over on the Denver Bronco Roundup as well as Rocky Mountain Sports Network. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe, whether it be Facebook or YouTube. We really appreciate all the love. Wow. For Miranda, I thought it's literally everything in the world of Broncos, and it's been about 10 years now for them over there on Broncos World Order. Got some great stuff going on, Miranda. Appreciate all the support as of lately, and check them out as well. We got to get out of here though, guys. I would love to have this chat go on and on and on. I dropped the link in late for Morgan Trinkets. Check out Morgan Trinkets for all your Southwest jewelry, pottery, and estate gold wholesale prices. Don't forget that sterling silver as well. Man, can't wait to talk to you guys more. Can't wait for this off season. Can't wait for what's coming up, and can't wait for training camp. Hopefully we'll have some good plans and some good talk around that as well, and some thoughts and ideas, and maybe one of us will be there. You never know. That's the hope. So appreciate it again, Miranda. We're gonna get out of here, but the way we always do, and that's with saying, hey, keep your feet in the stirrups, keep your guns in your holsters, keep your Broncos in your heart. Until next time, guys, we're out of here. Have a great night and a great week.